Good day to you all, and today we are going to discuss about a very ancient variety of tulsi or the holy basil in India. This variety has its origins in the distant mists of our Vedic times when there was the wars that were going on between the Devas and the Asuras, and the creation of this beautiful variety of tulsi is embedded in a very tragic story. And we will discuss that story later, but the variety of tulsi or basil that we are going to discuss today, it is called the Vrinda Tulasi. The name Vrinda comes from Vrinda Devi. Vrinda Devi is a manifestation of goddess Lakshmi, also the consort of Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Now, how this Tulsi emerged on planet Earth, on this Bhumi, is a very tragic story which we will go into, as I said, a little later. But what is very important is that for a very long time, and I'm talking about maybe a couple of 100 years, we have not had the proper records of the original Vrinda Tulasi that has been described in our ancient Puranas. We have many Tulasis, and in fact today, instead of Vrinda Tulasi, people worship Tulsi Devi using any form of basil. But there is a very special form of basil which pertains to Vrinda Devi. That descriptor which is there in our ancient Puranas, that particular plant has been missing for quite a long time. So much so that today, even when Vrinda Devi is being invoked during a special puja that happens every year, a tulsi is used, any tulsi is used, and Tulsi Devi is invoked. But to invoke the real Vrinda Devi, you need the frequency of the original Vrinda Tulasi, which, as I said, has been missing. So my search for Vrinda Tulasi started in the area of Vrindavan, where one would think that you would find the original Vrinda Tulasi, because that is where it is supposed to have originated. It's one of the centers for biodiversity and origin of the basil species in India. So one looked at many of the Tulasis that are revered in the Vrindavan area, in its various ashrams and temples, but none of the Tulasis there match the descriptor that is there of the Vrinda Tulasi. They are close. I mean, all of them are basil, holy basil plants, which is very common in India. And even if you Google, for example, a picture of Vrinda Tulasi, you will get actually an ordinary Tulasi there. Yeah. On a similar vein, I discovered and reintroduced the original Kapoor Tulasi as well. Kapoor Tulasis which are there in the market today, they have the smell, they have the flavor and fragrance of camphor. But the original Kapoor Tulasi has the flavor of green camphor, which you will find in the laddus that come from the Tirupati Balaji temple. It's that green camphor. So again, like this, my quest for tracking the Vrinda Tulasi goes back more than a decade. In the original descriptor for Vrinda Tulasi, its height was said to be around 2 to 3 feet tall. Its inflorescences, which are spikes, spiked inflorescences, they were supposed to be quite prominent, grayish in color. But the flowers itself are said to have been extremely inconspicuous. That is actually one of the key identifying features of Vrinda Tulasi, that its flowers are almost insignificant. You can see a beautiful spiked inflorescence, but in that each of the individual flowers will be almost insignificant. The third trait that was mentioned was that it has the flavor, the leaves have the flavor of traditional basil, holy basil, of course, but there is also a hint of the punch and the bite of beetle leaf. Yeah, and there is a hint of licorice in this. It is said that that was the taste of the leaf of the Vrinda Tulasi. However, in the Tulasis that I have seen, which are claimed as Vrinda Tulasis, even in the Vrindavan area, I was unable to find any such plant which matches the descriptor, the plant descriptor for Vrinda Tulasi. So the search was on to find out how we can find a plant of a specimen of Vrinda Tulasi, and then whether we can multiply it and popularize it across the country and the world. So, during my search for basils across the country, I happened to have the fortunate coincidence of meeting up with a gentleman by the name Akshay Radia, who also is a passionate seed keeper and who was stationed in Vrindavan. And I had started this dialogue with him, and he mentioned to me that he had something called the Vrinda Tulsi, and he wanted me to check whether this was really the Vrinda Tulsi that was there in our early descriptors or just another wannabe Vrinda Tulsi. So, after growing this particular plant and multiplying the seeds, the first set of seeds he sent me, and I started to grow them. They took quite a long time actually to sprout, so I suspect that the original Vrinda Tulsi may have dormancy period in its seeds, and being an ancient landrace, I'm sure that was the case. So it is quite possible that the seeds which I got had a dormancy period in them. And then I was able to generate the plants. And I was patiently waiting. The plants, I think I sowed them on the 5th of June 2021. And it took a long time to germinate. And quite recently, we are in October now, and quite recently the inflorescence started to show. So I was very excited because with bated breath, I wanted to see what the flower looked like. Would it look like the typical basil flowers that we have, which are fairly conspicuous, either with pale white petals or with pale pinkish petals? So I was just hoping that this would be something different. And lo and behold, they were. These flowers were definitely very, very inconspicuous, very tiny, and this matched the descriptor. The height matched the descriptor, and the taste, incredibly, the taste too matches the descriptor. When you pop in a few leaves into your mouth, you get the lovely taste of holy basil, but then you will get that sharp punch that comes from a betel leaf. And there is also a hint of licorice that one can perceive. So there was no denying that this is definitely the holy basil. I have started now to multiply the seeds, and I have started to, now I'm going to share it with online on my website hariyaliseeds.com. So any of you who want to experience the original Vrinda Tulsi, you are most welcome to do so. But before you do that, I want you to take you through that beautiful story which is there of Vrinda Devi in our Puranas. Usual, the Puranic stories from the Vedic times, and stories in the Vedas, they will have many versions, but we will take the one that's most common. And this goes back to the time when Lord Shiva was compelled to create a very, very supercharged being. And he did that by focusing the rays from his third eye. And the third eye, those rays concentrated, and it created an entity which was nurtured in water. And the name of that particular entity was given as Jalandhar. Now, Jalandhar was actually born of Shiva. And he was also a very pious and a very, focused practitioner of the Vedic rituals and tapas and all that. And he kept doing a lot of penance, and he earned a lot of boons from various gods and goddesses. And then he started to become very powerful. So when he became very powerful, he found that he could easily destroy Indra and claim the heaven, the kingdom of heaven. He claimed. Then he tried to, seize Lakshmi from by attacking Vaikunth, where Lord Vishnu resides. But ultimately, Lakshmi Devi had to tell him that their relationship was akin to a brother and sister, because both of them came out during the time of the Samandra Manthan, the churning of the ocean, and therefore they were brother and sister. Therefore, there was no way that he could claim her as his consort. Jalandhar then dropped that idea, and he decided that he should go and attack Shiva. Now, Shiva himself was at a dilemma, because Jalandhar happens to be a part of himself, and he has attained a lot of boons, as a result of which even Shiva could not subdue him. So Parvati goes running, Shiva's consort Parvati goes running to Vishnu, and he says, you know what is the cause of all this? The cause of all this is the person Jalandhar is married to. And the person Jalandhar was married to was Vrinda Devi, as she was known, an extremely pious a person, a woman, and a great devotee of Vishnu. To the extent that Vishnu had told her, had given her a boon, saying that as long as she kept her chastity, as long as she was only devoted to one man, her husband, in this case, who happened to be Jalandhar. Now, her husband could come to no harm as long as she remained chaste. This was one of the boons that was given by Lord Vishnu. And Vrinda Devi was an extremely pious woman. So every time Jalandhar went to war, whether it was with Shiva or the Devas or anybody, she would start praying, she would start doing penance, and she would pray for the well being of her husband. As a result of which, he had a kavach around him, a sheath of protection around him, which made sure that nobody could kill him. Now, when Jalandhar is fighting with Shiva, Shiva is unable to subdue him, and Parvati can see what's happening. So she tells Vishnu, now you are the root cause of this because you've given this boon to his wife Vrinda. And as long as she remains chaste and she keeps doing prayers for him, even Shiva cannot subdue. And he is really now wrecking all of creation. The whole creation will come to a destruction if we let this guy go on like this. So she now compels Lord Vishnu to do something about this and put things right. Lord Vishnu now realizes that what he will have to do can only be an example of an epic betrayal. He will have to betray his number one devotee to make this happen. So while the war between Shiva and Jalandhar is going on, Vishnu rushes to the palace of Jalandhar. He takes on the form of Jalandhar and he walks into Vrinda Devi's kutir. Now Vrinda sees Jalandhar there and she stops her penance and she hugs him. She is so happy that her husband is back and she hugs him. And it is said that at that moment she lost her chastity. And at that instant she realizes something is wrong. And she challenges the man in front of him to reveal himself. And with a very forlorn look, Lord Vishnu reveals himself and he says that he is so sorry, but he had to do this because this was the only way the arrogance of Jalandhar could be quelled and vanquished. Vrinda Devi is heartbroken and she feels completely betrayed. It is that sense of betrayal that her Lord, to whom she was so devoted, she was the number one devotee of Lord Vishnu, and that the Lord should come and trick her and take away her husband's life is something that she cannot bear. So she curses Lord Vishnu to turn into a stone. And that is the Saligrama. The Saligram, the black Saligram stone that you find in the Gandaki river in Nepal, that is the Vishnu who was cursed to become the stone. And she, with all that anger in her, she just self-immolates her and drops into a heap of ashes. It is said that from that heap of ashes emerged one plant, which was the progenitor of the Vrinda Tulsi species. That was the first Vrinda Tulsi plant that ever happened on this planet, that was created on this planet. And after that, it is said that every year, this marriage between that Saligram, Vishnu, and the Vrinda Tulsi takes place. Even today in the ISKCON Hare Rama tradition, you will find this a very big thing that happens in Vrindavan. Usually it's in the latter part of the year, October, November time, and there is a very big festival where the Saligrama stone and the Vrinda Tulsi are married together, indicating the marriage of Vishnu and Lakshmi. So this beautiful plant, Vrinda Tulsi, with such a deep history to it, had been lost for at least, I think, a couple of decades. And today, we are so fortunate that we are able to again find this plant, which is matching the original descriptor. And this variety now is available online on my website, haryaliseeds.com. And you can grow this plant and feel the original vibration and energy of Vrinda Devi.